Hi, we outside. I was almost distracted from making this video because I was following a woodpecker. Okay. It happens. So, yesterday, but before I get into it, I want to say thank you for liking, for commenting, for subscribing to this YouTube channel. I blinked my eyes. I had 20 followers. I was at 300. I blinked again and I was at 500. And I'm most grateful because that means that these videos and these messages are reaching those who can benefit the most. And that means that there's something here that's resonating for you. There's something in the bushes. I gotta see what it is. It's a little bird running around. Then there's somebody with a weird remote control car happening. Nothing but a distraction. Because we're going to get into it. I was thanking you because I'm grateful that these videos are reaching those who can benefit the most from them. It is a beautiful day. It is very alive and active outside right now. I'm almost overstimulated because it's so much happening right now all around me. There's birds everywhere. There's squirrels. There's lots of people outside enjoying this weather because we have a snow warning that's coming up. So I'm just hoping these people behind me do not hit me with whatever machine it is they have behind me. I want them to take that thing somewhere else. But I'm making this video to share with you what I saw yesterday while I was outside. And yesterday while I was outside, it was very quiet. And I was walking in between the trees, and about 5 feet ahead of me, there was a hawk that flew from very low under a tree. The tree had some brush and some cacti around the outside of it. And the hawk was flying out from underneath that and up and around. And it kind of startled me, and as I was not expecting a hawk to be coming from so low. And I found it to be odd. And I walked up towards the tree because I wanted to take a closer look. I'm like, this is odd that there is a hawk behind. I'm sorry for this machine thing that's behind me if you hear it. Hopefully it's not distracting you. It's a little bit distracting me, but I won't allow it. So I walk closer to this tree because I'm just very curious. Okay, I gotta look now because this thing is, their machine is caught in a tree. It's not funny. It's kind of funny. So I walk towards the tree to take a closer look because I'm just curious, what was this hawk doing so low in this tree? And as I get a little bit closer, I hear this very strange sound, and I'm like, maybe there's a baby hawk in this tree because it sounded like panting and a cry, a whimper. And I was like, oh, it sounded very distressful. It was like, like but in a sound of an animal. And I'm like, oh my goodness, what is happening here? So I walk closer, I get a closer look, and I see a little squirrel in the brush, panting, and whimpering. And the squirrel looks at me, and I could visibly see the squirrel breathing and whimpering as if it was crying, as if it was recovering. I came to the conclusion that the hawk most likely was chasing that squirrel, attempting to get that squirrel. And I stood with the squirrel as it was recovering. Basically, I was holding space for the squirrel. I wasn't sure if the squirrel was hurt. It was completely in distress. I didn't want to approach the squirrel. The squirrel just stared back at me. I stared at the squirrel, and I was thinking calming thoughts and saying calming things towards the squirrel. And the squirrel just sat panting and whimpering and looking back at me. And a few minutes passed, and the squirrel still was looking at me. I could see that it wasn't whimpering as much as it was when I first approached it. And it looked back at me, and then it started running up into the tree, higher into the tree. And I see hawks just about every day these days. There was one day I saw about 3 hawks, and one day at 3 different locations. So I understand the spiritual meaning of hawks, and I'm beginning to understand what they represent to me, and many times they have very powerful messages and reminders for me. But this time, this video, I'm not going to talk about the hawk. I want to talk about the squirrel and what we could learn from that moment with the squirrel. Sometimes when we go through traumatizing moments or situations and we come out of it, it's important to allow ourselves time to recover, to breathe in and out what has happened, what our experience was, just as the squirrel did. The squirrel was visibly shaken. The squirrel stayed still and shook its body and breathed through what was most likely a very scary moment for that squirrel. It's important to give ourselves time to recover, to be still, to breathe, to kind of sit in what we just came through, what our experience was. The other thing that squirrel taught me is that it is so important. It's invaluable to have someone who can hold space for you. I didn't touch the squirrel. I didn't really approach the squirrel, but I held energetic space for that squirrel. I stood with the squirrel in that moment until it was ready to move on and to move forward. If you have the opportunity to be that for someone, be that. It's invaluable. If someone has held energetic space for you, take a moment and thank them. If you can thank them verbally, if you can thank them energetically. More than likely, it helped you in some way. Before you get up after being knocked down and chased or dragged, be still for some time. Give yourself time to recover. Give yourself space in between to breathe, to sit, to do nothing except recover. This also makes me think and reminds me of the fact that I have done a lot of internal work, and a lot of my external life has been affected by that internal work. And I won't classify it as good or bad. It's just been a lot of change that has happened. And I definitely feel myself being in a period where my outside world is not fully reflecting my internal world. And this reminds me, this interaction between the squirrel and the hawk reminds me to be gentle with myself and to be patient and be okay being in that in-between space, and allow God to work things out outside of me. Because I could take a lot of action. There's many things that I could do, and there's many things that I do. But I need to be mindful to allow God to work. And maybe you need to be mindful to allow God to work. There is a honeybee flying right on the other side of my hand. It just moved away. We're in January. I don't know where the bee came out of hibernation to get some of this good sun. So I hope that message made sense to you. And there goes a white butterfly. Let's see if we can see it. Oh, it flew away. Those messages are for me, I suppose. But it's also to let you know that there are confirmations happening all around us, so be aware. Maybe that's the message too. So I hope that you receive something from this video. Be well and take care.